I did.
Putting out my phone.
Well, Ralph looks like he's been sent outside.
Maybe he was the bad boy.
Oh,
That's a picture I took.
beautiful.
Thank you. I like
Well,
it.
he needs this then.
What's that then?
Fireplace.
That would be good.
That's what I'm sitting next to.
So is everybody here? Rhonda, Fred, Dale, Sharon, Julie, Joy, Steve Fortune, and me. Who'd be missing? I don't think anybody. Julie?
Vicky. Oh, Vicky's not going to be here tonight.
Yeah. So she's not really
And-
missing.
Joel.
He said he'd come, but it's a little early yet for him. He's always a bit fashionably late.
That's it. Then we're just waiting for Joel.
All right. How long do we want to wait? We can start things to celebrate while we wait for Joel, right?
My husband came through his knee replacement.
Cool.
Yes,
What's he doing, Judy?
very well. Well, yesterday was bad, but today is much better.
Okay.
And we went for therapy and he's doing well
All right. He'll
Cool.
be out there kicking footballs pretty soon.
pretty soon. Well, he's planning to get his hiking schedule in by the spring.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And we had a lovely Thanksgiving, however quiet it was.
There you go.
That's to celebrate.
Yeah.
How about Louise? Did she get her?
Surgery? No.
Yeah.
We were going to drive down Wednesday, and 10 in the morning, she got a call from her doctor and said that all the surgeries are canceled because of the COVID thing,
Right,
which is a bit gut wrenching, because, you know, you're ready and it is surgery. It's not the,
right.
and now we don't know. May,
Oh,
who knows?
mm.
So
I know we were kind of touch and go here in Gunnison too, but it went through.
good.
Yeah.
So nobody has anything else to celebrate?
I'm celebrating the outcome of our presidential election.
Well,
I'm
yes.
really glad. I think that's the
Well, it's not over yet.
It is too. Biden is president. No more Trumpism.
One of the COVID doctors, I think his name is Redlener.
Mhm.
He said today that they should get those Trumps out of the White House right now and give this COVID thing over to the new people. And he was just, I thought, yes, I do like you.
What do you need?
And endless scared. Can I, well, I'm trying to think of something to celebrate. Well, for me, it's just I'm getting stronger so I can get more and more work done. So
Good.
yeah, I'm really happy about that. It took a while, but we're getting there.
Good.
Yeah. Anything else? That's it. Fred, can I ask you a question? See if we can unmute Fred.
Fred?
Can you unmute? There we go.
Yeah.
Hi. So I'm probably putting you on the spot because I thought you weren't sure if you wanted to work on the board anymore. Should I assume now that you're going to be staying on the board for good?
This to Sharon, or
Beg pardon?
who are you talking to, Fred or Sharon?
Fred.
I don't see Fred on the screen.
Fred's on here, but we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Is that-
Oh,
Is he on the horse?
no.
No,
No,
that's
that's
Steve.
On the horse.
No, he's not on the horse. That's Steve.
Who's on the horse? Oh, Steve's on the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't figure out how to turn my camera around. So I put a picture of a horse back there. I'm not as creative as Ralph.
Well, Fred, I'll talk to you later. No matter. And so let's move on to the approval of the December agenda. Any questions, thoughts?
Ralph, I wondered if we needed to take action to approve the audit. And I just don't know.
I missed that last part of the question, Rhonda.
Well, the question is, and Julie may have the answer to this in Vicky's absence, do we need to vote tonight to approve the audit?
Well, we never have to vote on.
Already. Yeah, no, and the audit's already done. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, all right. I know it's done, but we've received the letter from them now.
Oh, maybe we should have it officially recognized in the minutes.
That'll do.
I do have a correction to the agenda. I'm sorry, I was thinking it was third quarter, but it's really our first quarter because of our fiscal year that Vicky would be reporting on. So sorry about that.
Cool. Anything else?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Sorry.
That sounds like a second to me.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any further discussion? We move to accept the agenda. And now we have approval of October minutes as the next item. I didn't get the minutes, so I'm gonna trust that Sharon was accurate, and if we ever have any worries, we can always just look back over the video anyway, so you don't have to worry about it.
I did send them out.
Did you?
I got
him.
I got him.
Maybe I missed you, Ralph. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Maybe I missed it. I've been really kind of jammed up for the last little while.
I
And
sent them out fairly soon after our meeting.
yes, you did, actually. I remember that now, but I didn't read them, so I'm sorry.
So corrected, you didn't read them, you did receive them.
Yes, I remember that now, but I did not read them. I apologize.
Okay.
So any discussion on the October minutes?
I move they be approved as submitted.
I'll second it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Any further discussion? We have approved the October minutes. Thank you, Sharon. Next step is the staff report from Julie. Are there any discussions or questions?
I just want to thank Joy for nominating us through her investment firm for the drawing. That was really awesome. Thank you, Joy.
Yeah, it was very cool.
You're welcome. I'm glad they pulled our name out of the hat.
I have a couple of questions. And they may be a little tough, but can we go to the second page? And Julie said that she had sent a letter to the Valley Fund's new director, Lindsay, and they're having a board retreat in December. Julie, did I get a copy of that letter?
Yes, it was actually a letter that Rhonda wrote that she sent out in May.
Okay. Did we approve sending out that letter? I'm just trying to get a sense of how.
Yes, as a board, we did, yes.
Okay, cool. So it's in the minutes. Cool.
I don't know if it's in the minutes, but it was approved by the board and Rhonda agreed to write it and she sent it out to everyone and
Well, I'm just,
If it was a vote, it was in the minutes.
yeah.
it probably wasn't a vote in the minutes. It was just something she agreed to do for the board.
Well, so I guess my question then is this the kind of thing that we feel as a board should be approved in the minutes, that we look at it, we read over it and we say, this is cool, let's go on, because it is stepping out. What do you guys think of that? That's just a question for me.
Julie, have you worked with the Valley Fund people before? Or have we?
Yes, they have a new director. We worked with the last director. Never really gave us the opportunity to apply until we applied for that grant for the house the last time, and they finally got a grant process together and we applied for it. He told us we could only ask for 5. We asked for 7. Joy and Killian went in front of their board and they all loved it and they gave us the full 7,000 ask, or 7,500, I believe.
I think it was 75.
Yep,
Wow.
75. And then we all agreed as a board to contact them to move forward. Rhonda wrote the letter, then she sent it out to the board to look at and review and approve before, and everybody replied. And then we sent it out. So it wasn't
Okay, and now,
she just did
are,
wrote
are-
or
so
anything.
are we looking to build a duplex with the Valley Fund people?
No, I met because she's a new executive director. I forwarded her the letter that we had sent to their board months ago because she had not received it. And her and I just sat and talked about just different collaboration ideas that she could go forward with, things that were in that letter, things like that. We just,
Nothing definitive, just ideas.
yes, nothing definitive. I would never do anything like that without your guys' approval as a board. We've talked about this for over a year now of trying to talk to them about collaboration ideas. So now that they have a new director and they're going to have a retreat this month to figure out where they're even going as a board, what they want. They just going to keep funding things? Do they want to be a builder? Do they want to?
See if
We gave them several different ways they could support us if they were interested. And, our letter to them sort of got there, I guess, in a sense, in the middle of their change of executive director. And so, you know, our work on this goes way back, as Julie said, goes way back to May. But
Been
when,
beyond before that.
yeah,
I'm remembering it all. It just looks like a really good thing. Yeah, I understand what's going on now. So
well,
cool.
we had talked about it in the board, and our letter to them gave them several options of ways they could help us. And so, you know, we'll have to see what comes of that, if anything. But it wasn't just one option. There were so I think there were 3 different things they could weigh in on in terms of assistance to our work if they were interested.
That's great.
Cool.
Did you have you said you had a couple questions,
Yeah,
Ralph?
I did. And the other one was the competence PC training. And I know we've looked at that. And you said that you're going to send Stephen Killian, and it's $30 is trivial. I'm not worried about the cost. But what I am worried about is that Killian is neither an employee or a board member. So what's our rationale for sending him?
Because all construction supervisors are supposed to take the training.
So did we create the construction supervisor position?
He is the construction supervisor. I mean, I don't know what you're asking. I mean,
He's the job site supervisor, or yeah.
Yeah, my question is that a construction supervisor is a very specific job within the habitat community. And I'm just curious, have we formally created that position? Have we as a board?
yes,
So did we
have a
vote?
job description and everything when he applied for the job.
So did we as a board approve that job in the
Yes.
job description?
Yes.
We approved it, as I recall, and I may need to be corrected on this, but my sense of it was we approved it for the building of that particular house. I don't know that we approved permanently, you know, for subsequent houses, but we certainly, we approved that position for that house.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And that's why I'm asking. Because again, it's not Killian per se, but the position. It seems to me that that's something that as a board, we need to be approving those positions, I should think. And if we want to formalize it, there's no reason that we shouldn't. But I think it should be discussed as a specific position. That's my take on it. What do other people think? Hey, Joel.
Sorry, I had a marketing research group.
Well, when we started this spring, we already asked him to move forward with starting with creating plans and everything. And he was going to be working on this house with Tom. He's already working with the homeowner. So.
Ralph, I have a question myself. If you aren't convinced that it should be Gilligan, or whatever, who would you recommend it being? Because he's going to be on the job site every day.
Well, there's a couple of thoughts around that for me. I really think Julie can do this. I think she's really capable of doing this. I mean, in my opinion, we're building one house. And I know Julie can do this from all the things she's described. I have no particular need for it to be one person or another. We could bring in a builder to build something if we want, I suppose. But my concern more is about the position itself as being formalized. It's not about Killian per se. It's just I'm asking have we created a new position in the organization? Because in my opinion, that's a board question, and the board needs to get behind that, and we need to put it formally into the minutes. And do we need to put it anywhere else? I mean, that's what I'm throwing out. Should
Well,
it be in the
I think-
bylaws?
I think if we're going to, let's just call it for the moment, create a position which is more than a decision about a particular house. If we're going to create that position in the organization, then that does need, in fact, to come to the board. We need a formal action on that. And again, it doesn't have to do with who's in it. No. It has to do with the structure of the organization.
In a construction company, a standard setup would be that like Julie is the construction manager, Killian is the on-site supervisor. The volunteers are the workers that follow the supervisor's direction. The construction manager is the one that is doing, that's how we're structured right now. And Julie's in that position. She's making sure that the supervisor has the materials and the labor to build the project. So I just threw that out there because I've worked too many construction sites in the free market. Food for thought.
Well, if that's a way to approach this, then why don't we have at some point, not tonight, obviously, and probably not until after the first of the year, but how about if we have a document to the board that lays out that structure? Manager, and then supervisor, and then volunteers, so that it is really clear in our board documents that that's how we intend to operate. And following Steve's point, that would be one way to do it. There might be some other ways as well, but it might make sense to just lay it out the way Steve has suggested it, and then come to the board with that.
Rhonda, you're right. You're exactly right. Sometimes they call it a CMGC, which stands for Construction Manager, General Contractor, all under one company. And sometimes it's just a construction manager company. And then they sub out the GC, General Contractor part. So there is different ways to structure it.
Stephen, that makes a lot of sense to me. A question that comes to my mind is with workers' compensation, injuries on the job site. Do we want to be putting in some formal things? Because I've seen people get hurt on job sites really badly, and you don't want anybody, losing 2 weeks or 2 months of a livelihood without some protection. So should that be, or is that normally involved in that kind of thing?
Well, it usually is the general contractor part, the GC, which would be Killian, the supervisor. We'd be a construction manager, or however you structured it. But using volunteers, we're not paying them a wage. So I don't know how the rules are, but
I can tell you how has to work and how it does work. Every contractor that is on site, they have to have work comp. They have to give us that documentation before they even start. It's called a work comp certificate, and I have to get it from every single person that is on site that is paid. Every electrician, every plumber. Killian signs, he has to carry his own workers' compensation. He is not on our workers' compensation because he is not an employee. He is a 1099 paid contractor. He is
Yeah.
part of our insurance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but volunteers they're not carrying workman's comp.
Volunteers sign waivers. Every single person that is not a paid person on the site signs a waiver, and they're a volunteer. If they're paid, they have to fill us, before they even start working, they give us a copy of their certificate of insurance for workers' compensation.
So if we create this position, we would want to make sure that we have something like workers' compensation and the like, right?
We already carry workers' comp on, because we're required to as a organization, on myself. Killian's not a paid employee, so he's not on our workers' comp. He has to carry his own. But if he was a paid employee, like most affiliates run their construction supervisors as paid employees, then he would be under our workers' comp plan, but he is not right now.
So that would be part of what we would need to consider for that position, which is fine. It's just,
You don't have to add, he does not have to be a W-2 employee. He can just be a contracted employee that's 1099 at the end of the year. He covers his own insurance. You know, you can, either way.
yeah, that makes sense. But if we're going to create a specific position, then we'll need to be thinking about those kinds of things. And if we're going to send the board a specific job description and the like, which probably is worth doing if that's a direction we want to go in, then we're going to need to include all that stuff in the job description as well, I assume. Is that what your thinking is, Stephen?
Yeah. I think we're kind of reinventing the wheel. I think Julie's got it dialed in, and she knows the workman's comps and all the rules. And that's all we're doing is structuring our company to protect itself and we understand where everybody stands, what's definitive, and what the job duties are too. And the construction manager works very close with the supervisor.
Well, for me personally, I think we should create the position because right now I don't think it exists within the organization, and I'm not comfortable having somebody represent themselves as construction supervisor without the board having approved that position. That's just a real struggle for me.
Well, I think we can move, or can we create, Ralph, you think we should get it down in paper and go through the board and vote on it and everything like that?
I certainly do, yes.
Okay.
And
Well, we can move forward with that. Go ahead, Rhonda.
I just was agreeing, you know,
Oh, okay.
let's take a look at it and be comfortable with it as a board and approve it, and then we've got it taken care of.
Yeah, I think we want to do that too.
So we're already trying to get bids from people for the next build. Or do you want me to just stop? Am I not moving forward with our build?
No, you can keep getting bids and stuff. We're just doing this. We're just getting some paper.
Okay, because I mean, Killian's getting the bids from these people, and you're saying you don't feel comfortable with him doing that?
No, they're just wanting to state its position and we'll vote on it. But as the construction manager, which you are, you're sitting there and discussing these bids with Killian, and you're going to accept or reject as a
Correct.
construction manager. So we can move forward. I wouldn't stop that process at all.
Perfect.
I would not stop that process at all.
Well, for my clarification then, if Killian is the construction supervisor, whom are we getting bids from and for what?
Subcontractors,
Yeah.
material bids.
So go ahead, Stephen.
They're probably getting bids from the electrician. They're probably getting them from the plumber. They're probably getting them from building yards for wood and materials to build the project.
Correct.
Just materials. They're just getting material bids and subcontractor bids. Work that's outside the volunteer realm.
Correct.
Well, this brings up another question I have, which is, have we seen the proposed design of this house, and are we waiting to have some sense of the cost of this like we had last year, or the last time, not last year, but the last time?
We drew up some basic plans in the spring, but they need to be kind of redesigned in a sense. So Killian's been working with Tom and then the kids up in Crested Butte, I guess, the teacher up there. So we don't have the final plans yet. That's something we're working on this month too, and I'll trying to get all the costs.
Okay, thank you.
Because I would think there's no point to getting bids until we've got our final plans in place for the property, right? I mean, how can you bid if you don't have your you don't have your blueprints?
Correct. If you don't have the final plans, you can't bid. We're just trying to get plumbers and electricians to commit to giving us a bid, to, getting on their schedule.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong at all with getting 2 or 3 plumbers and 2 or 3 electricians committing to money to make a bid on any part of the house. I mean, that makes sense, right? So I guess there's some things to think about in there. And I think it's important for us to think about it as a board, because I know Julie has been asking me a lot that she wants the board more involved and she wants the board doing more things. And I'm wondering if this is one of the things we need to be looking at, because that's the kind of stuff, at least in my experience, that boards do. So I think if we're going to have greater involvement, then I think we really want to be really pretty clear about what that looks like. So that's why I'm bringing it up. Onward?
Yeah. Ralph, just what you touched on and what you're doing, though, I wanted to say one thing. It makes Habitat for Humanity look more professional.
Yeah,
and I think you're going the right direction with digging in and going with this.
Well, in my opinion, that's true too. It's just, it will help us in the long run, especially because I think there's people that want to do some pretty cool stuff. And if we want to do that, it might be worth our while to be really sharp on this. Onward, because I have a couple more questions on the report. You said about the water board ditch water area. This is possibly me just misunderstanding things. Should we be doing things beyond just April's backyard for the food? I don't see why we wouldn't, or are we just going to help April do that in her backyard? What's our thinking on that?
April's yard is the only yard that accesses that ditch. None of the other yards have access to a ditch. So that would be the only place we could put a community garden in a sense, or a garden for those neighbors, would be in her yard to access that water. The other yards don't have water. That was the only reason.
Well, again, I've heard some suggestions that we might want to do something a little grander than that. So maybe here, what I'm hearing you say, Julie, is simply that right now we can put something in April's backyard, and it may be smart just to do that, right? Because
Well,
something rather than nothing, and maybe we
for
could,
an open garden, it was just kind of an idea throwing out there for a place for Mountain Roots to put something, since April doesn't really, yard work isn't her thing, and her yard could use some help, and that she'd be willing to have it there. But it's just an idea. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that would have to go into it. Are they going to maintain it? What if they don't maintain it in a couple years and then it's left for her? I don't want to create a problem for her. There's a lot of things to talk about before just doing it. But I think the idea and we'll go into your, the big goals and things, was talking about food sustainability and how it would be really cool if we attached some kind of greenhouse to every habitat house that we built, as far as like part of their shed or something like that, then they could have in the future food sustainability for themselves, or a way to give back to their community, kind of, thing like that. But I think that you can't just enforce those kind of things on people. Just like April, she's not a gardener, you know what I mean? So you can't just tell people, oh, hey, we're going to build a greenhouse for you, and you should be into growing your own food and being sustainable. I think some people would really be into that, and some people might not be, so it's just an idea.
okay.
Could be a collaboration with another nonprofit in the valley, as a way for our habitat homeowners to give back food to the community, a way to promote gardens, just kind of those bigger picture ideas. But as far as it just being on her property, is because of that ditch that runs down New York that doesn't access any of our other properties that run down 6th Street.
That's why I was wondering why you're just sort of touching base, it sounds like to me, on getting something started that could be added into a lot of things, but we just have to have a starting point. And, that's, I think, a really great thing to do. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yes.
Well, and I suppose it's really going to depend on if there's any water in the ditch.
Correct.
You have to sort of wait till spring to find out if that's going to happen.
So I'm probably overthinking this. If we want to do this as a feature of homes, we probably can't afford to rely just on the ditches for water. We would have to get water from another source. Or when that guy came over, I was over when he was talking about that. He seemed amenable to extending the ditch all the way down. So we've got somebody on our side so that we can get the water running all the way down. Because my concern is especially around here, I've seen it at my place, if you don't water religiously, plants aren't too happy, right?
Well, and I just want to see Rhonda's face when I say this. That person that wanted to see the ditch go down was Bill Nesbitt. So yes, Bill would love to see the water go down that way, but whether it's going to happen or not is a different story. And basically the letter that we got back from the gal that works there for the water board, the Sonia, she basically said what we were told the whole time, was that it was just basically the only thing that's available to us is tailwater.
Yeah.
So,
Let's see what happens in the spring.
Exactly.
And And the extension of a ditch, Ralph, really, whether that is feasible or not, given the unreliability of the water source, raises, I think, for me, another question. You know,
It's the water rights. It's the fact those, the city only has so many rights. I mean,
yeah,
water rights are worth more than gold.
yeah, and they've existed for 100 years or something.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not like we can just like divert it and be like, oh, but we want it to flow this way. I think there's potential. That's why we've always put in the culverts for those years that we do get high water, that we can divert it down that way, and it will stay in the culvert and will get less evaporation. So the city, when we were told, hey, this culvert was already here, we will keep doing that in the hopes that maybe someday when development meets up with each other, when the one development on the other end of the street comes to where ours comes and they connect and all those ditches run, maybe there'll be some movement or something. I mean, the Hildreth guy who owns the ditch right now doesn't even irrigate those fields anymore because he doesn't even own that land now back there.
That's okay, right?
It just runs back there and then goes into basically back into Dos Rios, I think, wherever it, flows or whatever. So in the future, maybe he'll sell it. Maybe he'll sell it back to the city, and they can divert more of it in different ways or something like that. But right now we're only going to get tailwater on high years, on, high, water pack years that will flow down 6th Street. There will always be that ditch that runs down New York because that is what Hildreth owns, not the town of Gunnison.
Cool. I got nothing else. How about other folks?
Do you guys want me to resend you that letter that Rhonda had wrote many months ago? To the Valley Fund?
I think I got it somewhere.
I mean, I have it. I just didn't know if you guys wanted me to resend it out to you.
I have it. You don't need to send one to me.
I'll check my records, Julie, and I've been saving everything. I've just been so busy. I haven't been going through everything like I should.
So then I just have one question too. I have to have somebody take that OSHA course before the end of the year.
Yeah, and it's online. I was
Correct.
just reading it tonight.
And I'm trying to get a hold of somebody to tell me how to sign you up. It keeps not letting me direct in there to give, like you permission to go in there, like give you a sign in or something. So nobody's gotten back to me from International about that. So, I mean, you were saying that maybe you didn't think I should have Killian take that course.
Oh, I think he should take it. He's a subcontractor. It's $30. He can pay for it or we can pay for it. It doesn't matter. But it's that he should be taking the OSHA course because he is the supervisor. All OSHA's doing, and that helps also with unemployment. And he's going to be paying his own unemployment or workman's comp, excuse me. Workman's comp is really big on OSHA safety. All it is a safety course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's got to be, it's something that when you're in construction, it's something you've got to do every year.
Yep.
You know, and OSHA's requiring it on everything from crane drivers to forklift drivers to, it's just something that you have to do.
So Steve, you said you were really busy, but do you think you'd be able to do it by the end of the year?
Yeah, I'll try to squeeze it in. It's been rough. When things get cold, things break. And boy, I've just been swamped. But we're keeping the schools open. So
Good
yay.
job. Thank you.
It wouldn't make sense to me to have Killian take that course because he's going to be there every day. It would make sense to me for him to take it.
Okay. I just,
No, I agree. We need him. Julie, we just need to get our organization set up and everything needs to move forward. But we need to get him in that position and get something down on paper. If it's a contract every year that's renewed or something, but
we have a contract that he's signed that we renew.
and maybe that's what we need to bring out. And it's like I said, Habitat for Humanity is a construction company. You are a construction manager. You are managing the project. Killian is the supervisor. He is also helping managing, but he's by producing prints and all that stuff. But he's acting as the general contractor. You're acting, and so he's got a contract. So that's got to be spelled out. And then the board should review his contract and nay or yay on it. And I'm sure I know I'm going to vote for having him because it's hard to get good people. But we need to make it official with the board. And it makes us more professional.
Agree.
We're a construction company. We should do it by standard practices for construction.
Got it.
Yeah, it seems to me that it would make sense for us to have a year-to-year contract with him because there might be some changes in it depending on what it is we're doing. So I think let's get to that pretty soon. At least
Okay.
That's my
I'll send you
side.
guys the old one and we can look at it.
Yep.
Well, I move that we accept the report.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Any further discussion? All right, well, we've accepted it. Thank you, Julie. It was a really in-depth report. It was very helpful to understand what's
welcome.
going on. So the next thing we've got on our agenda, if I can find the silly thing now, is the financials. And Vicky's not here today. She had to join up with another meeting. So we can, I think, one of the things we can approve of, and Rhonda was asking about this earlier, can we approve the audit for the books?
Well, I'd be prepared to make a motion to the effect that we accept the financial report for the third quarter as presented and
First quarter.
Yeah, it was a typo.
Sorry, the typo, first quarter.
all right, whatever quarter it is. And I don't know the language with regard to the audit, but basically approve the audit letter. And if you want two separate motions, we can do it that way too, Ralph.
Well, I think so. It's two separate documents and it addresses two different kinds of things. So I would suggest that we have two separate votes on it.
But it's called accepting the financial report, not approval of.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. I can't approve anything that has that many numbers in it.
Well, I should know this stuff, and I do, both from my companies and from working as a business prof. You have to learn this stuff, and it is painful. I agree, but so we have one vote for acceptance. Anybody willing to go out on a limb and say approval?
Are we accepting the financials first and then the audit?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
the audit is for last year, ending June 30, 2020. We went over our what we did and said we didn't cheat.
okay, I'm gonna second the motion for the financials.
So all in favor of accepting the audit?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Any further discussion? Well, we have the audit accepted. Let's take a look at the first quarter. Does anybody have any questions about that? If nobody else will pipe up, I will. I do have a couple of questions. When we talk about the home in progress on Will's Way 4, isn't that from last year? Why is it in progress? We closed it last year, didn't we?
No, Will's Way, that was Will's Way 3. Will's Way 4 is the Williams. We already have land that gets thrown into that. We've already put the foundation in. So we already paid, 30,000 for foundation. So that is in progress. We're already in progress to number 4.
Okay. So we've got 30K for the foundation. What's the other 50 then?
Land, infrastructure, alley, everything that gets moved into a build that's been paid prior to
So
permit fees.
are we splitting out each unit because we've got all that land there? So are we calculating the land at market values and then just dividing by however many units we expect to build there? Or how are we establishing the value of the land for each property?
The value of the land is the cost of what we paid for the land that was divided over the cost of each parcel in the very beginning.
Right?
We could put in the cost of, we can't put in the fair market value of the land. We wouldn't be able to afford to build a house on it.
Well, I'm curious.
So the infrastructure costs that we put in for the land in the very beginning got divided out into each parcel. The cost of the land got divided out, and those costs get carried onto each parcel.
So where do we have the rest of the land then? That's what's confusing me. On a balance sheet with the assets, we should have the assets for all the rest of the property then, right? I mean, there's only one unit that we're building on now, and there's still, just for sake of argument, 6 other units. And I'm not seeing them in here because that's an asset, should be in the asset side too, shouldn't it?
That's a question you'd have to ask Vicky. I assume that it would be somewhere, obviously, it's in our, like you said, an asset. And I'm sure it is in the audit somewhere.
Well, I was
All the values of the lot, because we pay taxes.
Yeah, right.
Property, that gets, so each lot has
If you look, Ralph, if you look on page
2.
1, balance sheet, you'll see toward the bottom, under 1700, item 1700, infrastructure lot 5, infrastructure lot 6.
So
And
there's
that-
only,
That's at least part of it.
so, okay, well then,
Or the, yeah, 1600. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, other assets, 1600.
Other assets.
Other
There.
assets, and then the infrastructure, and you put all that together, it's the value of the lot, but as Julie said, the infrastructure costs that go along with that. So I think it's there.
okay. Well,
Yeah, it's like when we put in the alley, like the alley only accesses lots 1 through 6. So the cost of that was allocated evenly through lots 1 through 6. Every year that we pay taxes on, like, let's say lot 6, we haven't developed it yet, it keeps going up in the cost because we'll pay the taxes on that lot. It'll get carried over. So when we go to develop that lot, there's already money that's been spent on that lot, whether it was infrastructure, taxes, cost of the land.
okay, because in 1700, I see infrastructure, Wills Way project, lot 5 and 6. And we have that on top of the 22,000 that we have in 1600. And then we have
Yeah.
3 other lots.
Because they're in phase 1 and phase 2.
Okay, and they don't have the other lots. These lots then have all the infrastructure in place, like water and electricity run to the lot and everything. Is that accurate?
The infrastructure and everything is only lots 1 through 6. 7, 8, and 9 do not have infrastructure. That's why they're phase 2.
Cool, so we've already got the infrastructure to the next 2 lots.
Correct.
All right,
Not tap fees or anything like that, but water and electricity, things have already been brought to those lots, parcels 1 through 6.
great. Thank you for your help understanding this.
Thank you, Rhonda, for pointing that out. I was trying to look for that too.
We went for the payroll protection plan program when we made an application in April, and the auditor saying we didn't get any of the money yet at September 30. Did we finally get the money from the feds, or how did that work?
We did. We got the money for that. We haven't had to pay it back.
We have to come up with qualifying benefits, right? To not.
We were not going to have to pay it back. We've already looked at we already met all the things. Vicky just has to file the report if they would ever finish preparing the report for people to file it.
Okay, so what are the qualifying benefits that we are telling them we did?
We kept me employed. We didn't lay me off during COVID.
Okay,
And I don't know.
well, so that went to your salary. That's why I was just curious. I mean, that made.
Yeah, that was the paycheck protection, basically.
So that was to support you.
Correct.
Cool. Well, that's important, right? It wasn't clear. Well, I think so. It wasn't clear in there, so that's why I'm asking. All right, so then we just got to fill out paperwork there. I'm good. Anybody else?
missed something.
Oh, I think we're waiting for somebody to approve the first quarter report. I mean,
I move that we accept the first quarter report.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Anybody opposed? Any further discussion? Cool. Done. All right, we have 5:59. And we didn't unfortunately get to the BHAGs. I have them. I could still use from, I think, 2 or 3 more, 4 more board members. If you could please send them to me. And I will pester you much more than I have in the last couple of weeks, just so that we can get this done and we can send them out. The process is maybe a little confusing, and I'll try perhaps to explain it better. That would probably be my fault. The idea is each person individually comes up with audacious goals, really dream big stuff that we want to do for the organization. And you do that individually, you send it to me. I'm taking on both the consultant and the president role. That may feel a little weird for you, going, well, Ralph's going to edit through this. I won't. You'll see that when you get them back. I just simply copy and paste them for you. And then we want to get them to everybody else, so everybody can look at them, think about them, and ask any questions for clarification. And then we can move forward as to what to do. Right now I have, I think, 20 or 25 different ideas for us to look at. And some of them are hairier than others. But I think we're doing a really great job. And I will go after the people that haven't sent them in yet, so that we can move forward on this, which I think will be really helpful. And it addresses, Julie, your issues. I shouldn't say issues. I think concerns is a fair word about what you're doing and where we're going. And I think we want to get that clarified for you as quickly as we can, so that you can start doing on the ground stuff. As just for an example, if we want to end up building 2 or 3 houses this year, well, that changes what you need to do and potentially Killian needs to do. I think there's a lot of favor on the board to have him be the supervisor this year going forward. So you guys can get a sense. Maybe the sensible thing, I'm just going to throw it out there, is just to do the one build this year, catch our breath and get back on track, and not complicated, which gives us an opportunity then to move forward on other things and what we want to do. Because there are a ton of really interesting and cool ideas in there. I put mine in. I wrote mine out before I read anybody else's as well. So that went in just my stuff. I'm curious to see how you respond to them. But anyway, so I will bug you if you haven't sent me your BHAGs. I will phone and call and pester up until the time Santa might start saying I'm a bad boy, at which point I might stop. But in the meantime, is there anything else we want to talk about?
One thing I wanted to bring up, this COVID stuff's not over, so I don't know what the build's going to look like this year. We might have to do it with the restrictions, and I was thinking of that. Julie, you were saying before they only allow 9 bodies on the job site,
Yeah, maybe 10.
maybe 10.
Yeah.
And that might be something we're thinking about doing on this build. It's just 10 bodies on site. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but I'm preparing for the worst.
I'd like to try to get more information about the like AmeriCorps volunteers. In the past, I know that we, as an organization, haven't had $10,000 or whatever the cost was to secure those kind of volunteers. After having Chaffey County come and, with their Vista volunteers here, or AmeriCorps, not Vista, but I want to see if there's maybe a way we can job share them or something, that, because then that would be a core group of volunteers. Or if we got the same people, a lot of our people that came back last year, like our Tally Morrisons and our Roger, that were there all the time, but it would have to be a core group of consistent volunteers. It's going to be hard to embrace different groups,
Julie, why?
embrace those groups on separate days, obviously, because I don't want to exclude people, especially when groups like the college kids that come in the fall and things like that would have to have them there and not the core group. I think it'll just have to be a lot of working out, scheduling.
Julie, why do we need 10,000 to work with the AmeriCorps volunteers? There's a disconnect for me, that volunteer and then 10,000. What do we need that for?
Well, they're paid. It's a paid position. They get paid, not just, it is kind of, sounds oxymoronic, I guess, to call them volunteers when they're actually paid, but it's like joining the Peace Corps or something, you get paid. And part of it is we have to house them. And that's been an issue, kind of not easy for us here, but.
So, well, that's a very American thing then. We don't do that in Canada, and I bring that ignorance to the table. So it's a volunteer organization with some payment in addition to the support of food and housing and shelter that they would get. And then they also get a small stipend for showing up.
Correct.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Well, I'm going to say Merry Christmas to everybody. And Sharon, I'll send you the copy of the video. And I hope you guys have a great holiday.
You too.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you,
Merry
Ralph.
Christmas, everybody.
Cheers. Happy holidays.
Adios, giddy up.
I will send out a staff report at the end of the month and let you guys know how the donations are rolling in. And I have, keeping them separate from newsletter to, or, year-end letter versus newsletter. So.
Cool. Bye.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye.
Joel, I'll give you a call in a sec.
Sure.
All right.
Or just want to stay on here?
We can do that if you like.
See, I scrolled with the thing, and it's right down there in the
I have to
bottom.
wait for everybody to sign off.
1 minute.
Click.
And then there's another one.
There's only Stephen left. Stephen, your camera's working now.
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Thank you for your insight about the structure of the companies. I really appreciate that a lot.
You bet. You bet. Okay, I'm trying to get off here, so. Okay, close. I'm still on.
Well, let's see if I can take you off. Bye. He's gone. Hang on a sec. Let me end the recording.